It is my sincere pleasure today to talk to you about Jaimee Fox. I'm not going to cry. I'm going to promise you that. So Jaimee is a seasoned communication leader with more than 14 years of experience in strategic communications, change management, and internal engagement. She is currently the Corporate Communications Director at Thesis, a Portland-based creative agency. She leads communications, shapes the brand narrative, and fosters a high-performance culture. That's all stuff you can get from her bio. What you won't see is that Jaimee has overcome a series of obstacles in order to achieve all that she has achieved. I had the great fortune of teaching Jaimee. She's a 2009 Murrow grad. And I can tell you I've taught lots and lots of students. And there are a few who stand out because of the good things. There are a few who stand out because you weren't quite sure they were going to make it. Jaimee stood out immediately to me as someone who was authentically and genuinely herself, even as a young woman of 19. I knew almost from the first conversation that I had with her that she was going to be something special. Let's be honest, she was already something special. Jaimee almost wasn't a Murrow grad. She almost wasn't a WSU student. Jaimee was headed to an HBCU, that's a historically Black university or college, in Louisiana, Xavier University. And then Katrina hit, and she could no longer attend the school of her dreams. So we got her. There's not a lot of good things that came out of Katrina. That's one of them. She joined us in the Murrow College. She was a McNair student. She completed an amazing McNair project with me. She went on to achieve a master's degree. And I kid you not, since 2009, I've checked her LinkedIn profile every couple of years, thinking, is she ready to come back to the Murrow Symposium? Is it time to bring her back? Because I knew even then that we could learn from her, that we could be inspired by her, and that we could see in her a path towards success that each of us can achieve. It's my honor to tell you, it's time. Jaimee, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, fellow Cougs. Can you guys hear me okay? First, a heartfelt thank you to the Murrow Symposium Committee for this incredible opportunity. It's an honor to be here today and to meet so many bright, driven leaders, the very people who will help shape our future right here in this room. Over the past 2 days, we've shared ideas and sparked new ways of thinking. And standing here now, I am reminded of something we all know, but often forget. Life moves fast. Don't believe me? Just ask your parents or professors, and they will tell you how quickly time flies. I see some head nodding, so you understand what I'm saying. So I have a question for you, one that I will ask now, and again, at the end of my speech. Are you moving forward or standing in your own way? 21 years ago, I was a high school junior in Vancouver, Washington. I was focused, locked in on academics, and involved in student government. Outside of school, I stayed active in sports and programs that kept me grounded, connected, and constantly learning. One of those programs offered something that immediately caught my attention, a college tour. But this wasn't just any tour. It was a 2-week journey to visit historically Black colleges and universities, also known as HBCUs. College was just around the corner for me, and I was eager to visit as many campuses as I could. There was about 20 of us on that tour, high school students from cities across Oregon and Southwest Washington. For 2 weeks, we left everything familiar behind and traveled to the East Coast, visiting HBCUs I had only heard about until then. For the first time in my life, I stepped onto campuses where most of the students looked like me. Entire communities of Black scholars, leaders, and change makers, each one rewriting the narrative of what was possible. It was powerful. Growing up in the Pacific Northwest, experiences like these are rare. But standing on those campuses, feeling the energy, the pride, the sense of purpose firsthand, I knew one thing for sure: I wanted to graduate from an HBCU. By the time I finished high school, I was ready. I was ready for something different, something unknown, but full of promise. I had several college offers to choose from, something I did not take for granted. And when Xavier University of Louisiana in New Orleans said yes, so did I. From that moment on, I was all in. I had a plan, like many of you, to study medicine, to become an OBGYN, and make a difference in the lives of others. My mom traveled with me to New Orleans to help me get settled. I'll never forget stepping off the plane and feeling the thick human air hit us like a wall. It was the kind of heat that made you break a sweat just by standing still. Harry Smith talked about that heat yesterday. But as we explored New Orleans together for the first time, none of that mattered. We were wide-eyed, taking in the vibrant culture, the music in the streets, the food, the energy of a city unlike anything we've ever known. It was a new experience for the both of us, and one I will always be grateful for. The first week of campus was a blur, meeting new people, finding my way around, and figuring out where I was supposed to be. I still remember local students asking me where I was from. I said, Oregon. They said, Oregon? I said, we pronounce it Oregon. And then they asked if we still had wagons and traveled the Oregon Trail. Moments like these reminded me that I was definitely far from home. Moving from the Pacific Northwest to the South was a culture shock. The weather, the accent, the pace of life, even the food. But honestly, it was exactly the experience I needed. It pushed me out of my comfort zone and gave me a real taste of life in the South, humidity and all. By the second week of class, I was starting to settle in. I was finding my rhythm. And then that weekend, we got the news. A hurricane was coming. We were given two choices: stay on campus or make our own arrangements to leave. I decided to go home. I reached out to a childhood friend who was also a freshman at Xavier, and together we booked the earliest flight we could back to Portland, Oregon. I thought I'd be home for a few days, right? Visit with family, and then head back to campus. After multiple flight changes, hours of waiting in crowded airports, and a final flight through intense turbulence where every bump made my stomach drop, we finally made it home. I remember gripping the armrests on the plane, silently praying that we would land safely. Hours later, on October 29th, 2005, Hurricane Katrina struck. The damage, unimaginable. The loss, devastating. Over 1,800 lives were lost. Entire communities, homes, schools, gone, just like that. I watched the natural disaster unfold on the news like many of you, feeling completely helpless. A heavy wave of sadness washed over me as I grieved for people I had just met, for a city I was starting to call home. My college campus, my new beginnings, all swept away. But even in that moment of loss, I felt grateful. Grateful to be safe, grateful to be home with my family. And as I leaned on their love and support, something became clear. I had been given a second chance to keep going, to keep moving forward. My plan had changed, but my goal, to earn my degree, from a respected school and make a difference was stronger than ever. Weeks later, it was time for me to make a choice. You see, every day we're faced with choices, small ones that seem simple in the moment, but can shape the direction we're headed. Like the choice to show up for class on time or to stay in bed and hit snooze, hoping those extra minutes will somehow make a difference. Like the choice to go that extra mile on an assignment, aiming for excellence in that hard-earned A, or to settle for just enough. The choice to fill someone else's cup, to pour joy, encouragement, positivity into the lives of others without expecting anything in return. Or to look the other way because we're too busy, we're too burnt out, or we believe it's not our responsibility. But here's the truth. Your choices are yours, and yours alone. As an ancient Greek philosopher once said, the content of your character is your choice. Day by day, what you choose, what you think, and what you do is who you become. Over time, you become your choices. That quote reminds me of an old saying, you become the company you keep. The people you surround yourself with, the ones you spend most of your time with, shape who you are. They influence your values, your attitude, and even your mindset. Over time, they help shape your character. It's a powerful reminder to be intentional about who you let into your inner circle, because the company you keep doesn't just affect your present, it shapes the person you are becoming. I've carried that truth with me through college and into my career, and I've seen firsthand how the right people can push you, inspire you, and help you grow in ways you never thought possible. So when life took an unexpected turn, when Hurricane Katrina hit, I had a decision to make. Back at home, I was forced with a tough decision: take a semester off or enroll in a community college. Either one of those choices was fine, but my curiosity was too strong to ignore. I wanted to spread my wings, experience college life away from home, and graduate from a respected university. A few weeks later, I arrived in Pullman, Washington, ready for a fresh start, even if I wasn't entirely sure what that would look like. During my first semester at WSU, I took a class called University 101. On the surface, it seemed like just another intro-level course on college and career options. But in reality, it offered something far more valuable than information. It was a space where we were encouraged to slow down and ask ourselves the big questions. Who am I? What am I passionate about? What skills do I have now, and how can they translate into a career? We took assessments like the Myers-Briggs and the Strong Interest Inventory. What started as simple exercises quickly became powerful tools for self-discovery. I still remember the day our professor shared her story about studying abroad in Australia. She talked about how it changed her perspective and pushed her far beyond her comfort zone. As I listened, something shifted in me. Her story sparked a deep desire to explore the world and challenge myself in ways I had never had before. I didn't just want that opportunity, I needed it. I wanted to immerse myself in other cultures and have experiences that went beyond the classrooms. That curiosity drove me to take action. I reached out to the Study Abroad office. Before long, I became a Study Abroad ambassador, encouraging other students to take the leap and explore the world for themselves. And it didn't stop there. After reviewing my self-assessment results, I discovered I had a strong interest in communications. That insight led me to schedule an informational interview with the phenomenal Dr. Stacy Huss. By the end of our conversation, I knew without a doubt that communication was the path I wanted to pursue. By staying open to new opportunities and building meaningful connections, University 101 sparked interest that changed the course of my life. Because I was curious enough to take that course, I found a sense of purpose that reshaped both my life and career. Since then, I've traveled to more than 15 countries, worked in local government, the nonprofit sector, and now in the agency world, supporting leaders and community members through communication campaigns, internal initiatives, programs, and events. And it all started with a single decision: to stay curious and embrace what was next. I mentioned my commitment to building connections, but what does that really mean, and why does it matter? For me, it meant being intentional about the relationships I formed, surrounding myself with people who challenged me, inspired me, and held me accountable to my goals. It meant seeking out mentors, professors, and peers who believed in me, even when I doubted myself. And just as importantly, it meant being that person for others, showing up, offering support, and investing in their growth too. Remember, every connection you make is an opportunity to plant a seed of growth in someone else, and in return, they're planting seeds in you. Whether you realize it today, tomorrow, or years from now, those seeds will take root. They'll grow and blossom into whatever they're meant to be. And just like those seeds, there comes a time when we all need fresh soil, new environments, and new experiences to keep growing. After graduating from Washington State University and earning my master's degree in public relations from Michigan State University, I accepted a job in local government. But after a few years in multiple roles, I realized I needed to stretch my skills, expand my network, and find support within a professional community. Back in college, I remember being active in the Public Relations Student Society of America. I knew it was time to get involved again, this time with my state chapter, PRSA Oregon. And so, yes! We have a couple members here. And so I did. I started by volunteering as the event content project manager. In that role, it strengthened my content strategy skills, expanded my network, and built lasting connections with professionals across the industry. The following year, I was invited to co-chair the Communicators Conference, which is one of PRSA's Oregon premier signature event. And I seized the opportunity to lead in a new level, in a new way. Each year, this conference brings more than 250 professionals from across the region to connect, share best practices, and stay ahead in the industry. It was a valuable opportunity that challenged me to think bigger about leadership and to see collaboration as a catalyst for impact. Today, I serve on the PRSA Oregon board, where I provide thought leadership and focus on growing and engaging our membership. I help ensure member retention and act as a liaison between the chapter and our members. These volunteer experiences have played a major role in my career, and they continue to shape the professional I am today. Over time, I began to see how my volunteer experiences, like co-chairing the Communicators Conference, directly impacted my career. A few months after I accepted a position at a nonprofit, the CEO, who was leading a fully remote company, wanted to bring the entire team together for its first ever multi-day offsite, and they needed someone to lead the effort. This had never been done before. There was no blueprint, no playbook, and no one to tell us how this should be done. But here's the thing. I had already co-chaired a multi-day conference for 250 professionals successfully. That experience gave me the confidence to speak up, pitch myself for the role, and assure the CEO that I could deliver. And I did. I led the planning and execution of the company's first in-person offsite, bringing together more than 75 employees from across the United States. I managed a $100,000 budget, chaired a 12-person planning committee, and served as the single point of contact from start to finish. We pulled it off in just 8 weeks, and it was a huge success. Thank you. Because of my volunteer experience with PRSA Oregon, I knew I could take on any event and deliver results. And this is why volunteer matters. So how did this happen? How does volunteering translate into career growth? It starts with a desire, the desire to keep growing. Because let's be honest, sometimes you may not get the chance to grow in your current role or company. You might hit a ceiling and start to feel stuck. You might feel unappreciated and start to wonder if anyone even notices what you bring to the table. But this isn't your sign to slow down or give up. It's actually your signal to keep moving forward. This is when you have to be intentional about seeking out experiences beyond your organization, whether it's through volunteering with professional associations, serving on boards, or taking on leadership roles in your community, or even finding a mentor. These are tangible ways to stretch your skills, build confidence, and expand your network. And often, those experiences become the bridge to your next big opportunity. So what does this look like? 2 words: show up. You gotta show up, right? And sometimes that's actually the hardest part, is just showing up. You probably heard the sports analogy: you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Well, the same is true in your career. You miss 100% of the connections you don't make and the opportunities you don't pursue simply by not showing up. And trust me, I get it. It can be intimidating to walk into a room full of professionals and leaders unsure of what to say. You might even question whether you belong. But here's the thing. By showing up, you've already taken the most important step. You are opening the door to new possibilities, and you're giving yourself a real shot. And when you do show up, be yourself and no one else. Be your authentic, curious self. Being yourself is step 1. Step 2, any guesses? You gotta take action. You gotta take action. So I wanna share a few ways you can do that. 8 tips to help you build connections and boost your confidence. And if you heard some of this before, think of it as a little nudge, right, to put it into practice. Step 1, validate yourself. Each morning, take a moment, look in the mirror, and give yourself some self-love, whatever that means to you. Maybe it's a power pose. Maybe it's a prep talk. But look yourself in the eye and say, I am brave. I am confident. I've got this. Because you do. But you have to believe it in here. It might feel awkward at first, and that's okay. But what matters is reminding yourself every day of who you are and what you're capable of. Step 2, get involved on campus. Join student organizations, clubs, or professional associations, and take on leadership roles. The best time to lead is now. Gaining experiences early and often is one of the most effective ways to meet people, build relationships, and establish credibility. Number 2, continue to attend events and workshops like you're doing now. Make it a point to stay after. Introduce yourself to the speakers, the panelists, and other attendees. In fact, let's do a quick check. Look around the room. Just do a little glance around the room. You're sitting next to someone. Do you know their name? She's like, I do. You passed. Do you know what they study, what they do, right? If not, it's okay. before you leave this session, take a moment to introduce yourself to someone new. This is your chance to practice right here in a welcoming space, supported and surrounded by people who want to connect and grow just like you. Number 4, use LinkedIn and keep it up to date. Not Instagram, not Twitter or X, but LinkedIn. Engage with your network. Share your wins, post articles that interest you, and join conversations by leaving thoughtful comments. Don't wait until after graduation. Start now, especially if you are trying to apply for internships or part-time work. Study or volunteer abroad. By expanding your network globally and immersing yourself in other cultures, you'll develop empathy, adaptability, and a broader perspective, qualities that are highly valued by employers. Number 6, participate in informational interviews if you get the opportunity. I cannot stress enough the value of informational interviews. Let me share an example. A college friend of mine named Ashley wanted a job in Washington, D.C. So she took the initiative to set up an informational interview with the hiring manager. They had a great conversation, and by the end of it, the manager encouraged her to apply to an open communications role. What the hiring manager didn't know was that Ashley had already applied to the job. And now, the hiring manager could easily put a face and a personality to a resume. And yes, Ashley did get the job. But here's the thing. Landing a job from an informational interview isn't the goal. If it happens, that's a bonus, right? It's a bonus. The real value is in learning, building relationships, gaining insight into a career, a role, or industry you are genuinely curious about. Number 7, get a mentor. And when you're ready, be a mentor. Mentorship builds confidence from both ends. A mentor can give you guidance and encouragement, which reinforces your own sense of value and expertise. Sometimes your belief in someone else is exactly what they needed to believe in themselves. Number 8, stay in touch. This might be the easiest thing to do. Follow up with the people that you meet. Networking is about building, nourishing relationships, not just meeting someone once and moving on. I first connected with Dr. Huss in 2005. Nearly 20 years later, we are still connected. Her support, her dedication to students and the field of communications inspired me to pursue a career in this industry. People like Dean Pinkleton and Dr. Huss have taught me the importance of staying open to guidance and insight. You never know when someone or something will shift your perspective. That reminder came just a few weeks ago while I was scrolling through Instagram, getting my usual mix of news, entertainment, and those little nuggets of encouragement we all need sometime. I came across a clip of Oprah speaking to an audience, and she said something that made me pause and really think, usually how Oprah usually does. She said, and I'm paraphrasing, "There is a lesson in everything. There is nothing in your life that is ever happening out of order for you. Everything that shows up in your life is not just happening to you, it's happening for you." Let me say that again. The things that show up in your life aren't just happening to you, they are happening for you. Oprah explains that no matter the situation, good or bad, she always asks, "What is this here to teach me?" And that is what having the right mindset is all about. It really is. It's the difference between feeling stuck and finding purpose. When you believe things are happening for you and not to you, you start to see the possibilities, even in the tough moments. Oprah's question stuck with me. And it's the same question we should all ask ourselves, whether we're facing a challenge, an opportunity, or a moment of doubt. Because every experience, every connection, every choice has the potential to move us forward if we let it. At the start of my speech, I asked you, are you moving forward or standing in your own way? Here's what I hope you will carry with you moving forward. Your choices are yours, and over time, you become your choices. Stay curious, embrace new opportunities because they will come. Be intentional with your relationships. The right people can change everything. Show up. Show up. You miss 100% of the connections you don't make by not showing up. And finally, be your authentic, curious self, because the world needs you, not the edited version. Each of you have spent the past 24 to 48 hours learning, discovering, and connecting. You have the tools, you have the resources, and most importantly, you have the mindset. Look around. This is your network. People who can support you, challenge you, and grow with you. The time is now to own your next move. The time is now to get out of your own way. And the time is now to step forward and take your shot. Thank you. Okay, some questions.
Questions from the audience? Show of hands. Hello, Jaimee. Oh,
Where are you?
right here. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom. I'm curious if you could talk a bit more about saying no and not overcommitting yourself.
I've definitely had to learn that. I think it's hard when you're starting out because you want to be seen, you want to be recognized, you want a lot of those opportunities. But there's also a sense of balance that you have to have. And I have children, I have a family. So I'm speaking from someone who doesn't have any kids, right? If you practice now with balancing work and life and friendship, like there's so many things you have to balance, it's okay to say no. Maybe that time wasn't your time right now. Right? And depending on who you're saying no to, having that conversation, saying, hey, I would love to work with you on this project, but how about next month? How about next month or the next 6 months, right? When my schedule kind of clears up. So give yourself grace, knowing that it's okay to say no if the opportunity is not right for you.
Somebody has to ask this one. One of the things I like to ask students when I'm here is, what brought you to WSU? How did you choose us? And in your case, you talked about this long dream to be at an HBCU, and you toured them. Your school gets blown away by a hurricane. Your second choice is an HWCU. Talk about how you ended up here.
Yeah. So I did apply. So I was always told when you're in high school, you kind of have like 3 buckets of schools, right? Schools that you know for a fact you'll get into, schools that might be a little bit challenging, and schools that are like far out there, right? Like at Harvard or Stanford. And so I applied to schools in all 3 buckets. WSU was a school that I was accepted in. But at that time, like a lot of young people, I wanted to get away. Xavier was #1 for putting African Americans into the medical field. And so when everything happened and coming back, it wasn't a little easy transition for me to fit right in into WSU. I don't think I was ready to go far at that point any longer. I was like, okay, it's far enough, but I'm still close to home in case an emergency happens. And I'll share this story. So when I first got to Pullman, and what dorm was it? What's the dorm for freshmen? Stevenson? The Stevenson, I believe I was in Stevenson. And the first week, the fire alarm went off. And so next thing you know, we're all running out of the building. And I said, God, if this is a fire, if this is a real fire, I've already ran from water. It is not meant for me to go to a 4-year institution. I'm going home. I'm going to a community college. Clark College sounds fine. And luckily it was a fire drill, so it was meant for me to be here.
Hi, I'm a professor here. I teach public relations, and thank you for also being on the PR SSA panel before this. Very much appreciated it. So I have a lot of students, and you did a really good job about getting your name out there. Also, when to say no. That's still a lesson I am trying to learn a lot of. Stacy is probably nodding her head somewhere. One of the things is, how do you navigate kind of knowing your niche or knowing what you're going to be good at? Like, I know, it's taken me a time to know what I can talk on and what I can do. But I know with my students, they're looking for any job that's communications. They just want a job. How do they kind of shape that persona for themselves?
The question, how do you know what you're good at?
Yeah.
Experience. I think you have to really have experience. Before graduating, I had 3 internships in different areas. Actually, one was here at WSU. It was called the Scholarship, no. It was with the Washington Center, excuse me. Libby Walker, I don't know if she's here. Is she still here? No? Okay, so she was in the Honors College, and so she kind of oversaw that program, the Washington Center. If you guys haven't heard of it, definitely look into it. It's a great organization that places students throughout Washington, D.C. And I was placed at RR Production, and that's where I got video production experiences. And so I really cannot stress internships enough. That's the only way you're going to find out, right? You can hear other people's experiences. You can listen to all the classroom lectures, but you have to get your hands dirty. You have to get out there, try, and see if you like it, right? And if you don't, like I said earlier, give yourself some grace. A lot of us may graduate with a degree, and then years later, we're doing something else. And so in my experience, I found that I really love internal communications and employee engagement. I feel like employees are an organization's #1 ambassador. So if an employee doesn't know what you're doing, how can I expect my clients or the community to understand? So to answer your question, you have to practice.
Hi, my name's Tony. I teach in the Murrow College. You said you worked in local government. You said you've worked on campaigns. Have you ever thought about running for office?
A lot of people have thought for me. So I don't think it's my time yet. Maybe in the future, right? Thank you for speaking that into existence.
Thank you. So you talked about pursuing a master's degree. What did that look like for you? Because I know for a lot of us here, I want to pursue that, but I want to get my networking connections in the field for a little bit before I do that, because I'm on the broadcast side, so I want to make sure that I get that networking. I know that's one of the most important parts. So what did that journey look like for you, and why did you choose your master's program?
You can do both. I strongly feel you do not have to stop your education to build those relationships. And so for me, I received my bachelor's degree in communications with an emphasis in public relations, and then dual minors in political science and global studies. So I already had a little taste of PR. And so for me, it was just a natural fit to pursue my master's in public relations. So for you, I would say you can do both. You can pursue your graduate degree and also build those relationships at the same time. And I will be here for a few more hours, so if you have any questions, you can come up to me.
You mentioned the Myers-Briggs test and things along that line. How did you discover what you wanted to do? Was it throughout college or within college or after college that you really kind of solidified that idea?
So yeah, the class, right? University 101. We took a lot of different assessments. And so my results leaned very strongly into communications. At that time, I had no idea what PR was. And so thankfully, I did my research and I found out who Dr. Stacey Huss was, and I had an informational interview with her. And that really helped to open my eyes to this field, along with my own research. I also looked at potential jobs and where my career could take me, and that really just sparked interest. So having those conversations, doing your own research, will definitely help guide you into the career of your interests.
Hi, Jaimee.
Hi.
Okay. So talking about different experiences of going to Louisiana, that not working out, coming to Washington, having your mindset on medical and then going into the PR side, how do you work through that letdown? It's hard when you have your mind set to something, and when that doesn't work out, how do you navigate through that?
You know, I think sometimes you just have to realize it's not meant to be. And then I also thought about my experience in high school where we got opportunities to dissect animals, and that grossed me out. It really did. And so I thought about, if I can't even dissect a cow's eye or a frog, how am I going to support women's reproductive health? Like, it makes no sense, right? So like I said, you go to college, you think you want to do one thing, and reality hits, and you're like, oh, maybe this is not the field for me.
Hi, I'm Nadia, second-year master's student at Murrow College. What a spectacular speech. I truly appreciate your insight. So my question is, I'm curious, have you ever experienced, moments in your professional life when you felt like unheard or dominated? So how did you navigate that challenges? And also, I'd like to know that how do you balance your personal interests with the demands of your professional responsibilities or sometimes obligations?
Okay, I'm gonna try my best. There was a couple questions in there. The first one you asked, say it again? Unheard. Yeah, there's been a few times where I felt that I was unheard. I was in a position, a senior role, and the focus of my role, internal communications. And my manager wanted me to do just that. In fact, she would say little things like, Jaimee, stay in your lane. And I wasn't used to hearing talk like that. I mean, I was used to coming from a supportive work environment with peers. And so to have someone who only saw me as just staying right here in this bubble was stressful. And I felt unheard and unseen. But it was also interesting because I received recognition from the CEO and from other peers. And so then I realized it's not me. This is her perspective, right? This is how she wants things to be done. And so with every experience, there's something to learn from it, and you take it and you move on. And for me, it wasn't meant for me to stay at that company long, right? Because the values that I have and what my manager had, they didn't line up. I come from a background of collaborating, of working across both aisles, right? So you can be in finance or IT. I'm still here to help you, regardless if my focus is on communications. And I carry my beliefs with me everywhere I go and my values. And if something doesn't line up, it's not meant for me to be there. It's time for me to move on. Is that helpful? I know you had a second question too. Okay.
We heard Harry Smith touch yesterday on his, personal interests in music and such, kind of helping to pave his way for his eventual amazing career. Could you touch on how your personal interests have impacted your career and how you would recommend people take advantage of the things that they enjoy doing outside of work to influence their work life?
Oh, yes, it makes a difference. I think because of my experience with study abroad, I love to travel. I'm trying to expose my kids to traveling as much as possible. I love to listen to music too. I think anything that's calming and relaxing and that can inspire me, feeds my soul. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the app called Calm, right? And so I love it. I actually was listening to it. What is his name? Jay Shetty. Okay, I have a couple nods, so you know who I'm talking about. He's a phenomenal speaker and motivator, right? And so just kind of tapping into things that you enjoy, even if it's 15 minutes before you head to work, right? Or ending your day with things that you enjoy. But trying to find that balance will definitely help you throughout your career. It is Jay Shetty. He's phenomenal, yes.
Hi, my name's Anaya. I was just wondering, you've mentioned the values you have, or I guess elaborating more, what are they? And then when they've been challenged, how have you handled that, I guess besides maybe removing yourself? Does that make sense?
Being authentic in all that I do, right? Being honest. If something doesn't feel right, it's not the space for me to be in. So I would say being authentic, honest, and knowing who I am. I think those are powerful tools and values for myself that I kind of carry throughout my career. And you have to know what's right? Don't settle for less. Don't settle to take the easy way out because you think you're going to be rewarded, because all that comes back to you, the good and the bad. So stay true to yourself and all that you do, and it will all work out. I promise it will.